Oh my goodness. Seriously, I have to just do it. It's like I can tell myself I don't have to think about things that don't matter.
I was designed to do those things. How the hell does this guy know this about me?
It's impossible to not see.
When Dan read for my sister, she was like, he's psychic. She's like, how did you know that?
Yes.
She's like, it's human design, guys. Like, it's just a testimony of how legit it is.
Seriously, Danny was like FBI or CIA. He's like, how the hell does this guy know this about me?
Having my chart read, there were just thing after thing after thing that I was just like, wow, that's me.
This man is reading me and I've never met him before.
I was in the midst of one of the biggest emotional waves I've ever been in my life, and he saved my life.
It seems like everybody has the same reaction. It's that aha moment, and they want to find out more. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Human Design Advantage Podcast Sunday Show. My name is Jen, and decoding the matrix for us is Danny Goober.
Jennifer, it's so wonderful to see you. I see the sun is shining there too.
Oh my gosh, yes. After a week of just nothing but cold and rainy and cloudy. I mean, I don't think it got, well, I'm not used to the cold, but it didn't get above 40. So
Oh, well, that's interesting because for a couple of days it didn't get above 1 here.
Nope, can't do that.
Maybe 10 or so, and it was down at night. It was down to like 10 and 20 below, a couple points. Yep.
No.
Oh, yes, Jennifer. It's interesting. No. You're going to have to connoisseur this at some moment so you can see what I'm saying. It actually is very interesting.
Yes, and I know I don't know where you're at. I was in Toledo, Ohio one winter, and it was a lot drier than it was here in Houston. So I don't know if y'all have the humidity.
Mostly gets dry. It gets pretty dry.
And then the cold's a little bit different than the humid. So that wet cold, it gets in your bones and you can't
get into your bones. Yep.
So
it's just a toasty home is really sweet is the thing. It's such a juxtaposition that it's actually really cool. So today, can't wait. I had forgotten that we didn't do the throat center. I think it escaped us sort of. And then Savannah pointed that out, and I forget if both you guys pointed that out. So now we're going to go ahead and get through this. It might take 2 parts, right? So.
Most likely it will take about 2 parts, but it is one of the most important centers that we need to go over. And like I was talking to you off camera, the more that I dive into, really building a program to help other soulpreneurs step into their calling and build an online business or brand using the throat and the terminology that comes with each gate does help when you are expressing yourself. So I think
true, and that's whether the throat is open or closed, or open or defined. It's still true. Every open center, the gates that are hanging off that open center become the theme of that open center. So just like they are the theme when it's a defined center. So let's first things first, I just want to talk about the open throat and get that out of the way, and then we're going to talk about the voices. Just sort of the difference between an open and a defined throat is really important for people to understand. If you've got an open throat center, by the way, it's the most rarest center to have open. There's 11 activations off of the throat center, right? It's busy. All the streams of awareness lead to it. So that means all the pressure centers dead end at the throat. All the gates of the head center and 6 of the 9, actually all 9 gates of the root center dead end ultimately at the throat. They all go there. And that's because we're a species that is supposed to manifest. And the throat is the thyroid system is a communication into the whole body. That's what the thyroid does. It communicates across everything. Every cell is aware of the thyroid department inside our body. And that's where our throat is. And we put a lot of pressure on that. There's a lot of thyroid diseases and thyroid things, right?
Yes.
So if you have an open throat center and you have any kind of thyroid thing going on at all, even closely, even slightly related to it, this is for you, this information. The open throat center, when it's open, doesn't mean you're not supposed to manifest and make stuff happen. It means you're supposed to follow your strategy and authority so that you're doing it according to your body's energy. There's no less words in an open, there's no less manifesting and doing stuff and articulating. That's what the throat does. It does stuff and it articulates and expresses. It's expression, and it materializes thought into words.
Yes.
We think that the mind makes up the words. The mind has the concepts, and that mental activity is doing all kinds of stuff, but it's the metamorphic process along the top of the throat center that actually does the converting. The words are in gate 62 of details, for instance. They're not actually in the mind yet. The mind is just pouring the pressure, and it's the genetic material that is our thyroid system that then metamorphosizes that into language. So if you have an open throat center, you're under incredible pressure to express, to overexpress, to underexpress. You're under a lot of pressure at times to feel insecure about expression. If you have an undefined throat, very often you'll want to keep trying to manifest harder, to initiate, to make stuff happen, because you think that that's what's going to attract the right attention. The open throat often feels that it hasn't attracted the right attention. It's concerned about the attention it attracts, because the one thing we do that attracts attention is we either do stuff or express stuff.
Right. It's
right.
how we are expressing. And from what I know about the manifestation process, how that unfolds is that, it's your thoughts impressed with the emotions. And then when you impress the thought with the emotion into your subconscious, and then you start speaking it into existence, that's when things really start to unfold. And the example that I like to give to, people that I mentor that follow me is, take a hypochondriac. They are constantly worried that they're going to get sick. They are impressing their subconscious with that emotion, and they are always talking about it. So therefore, they always have something to justify them being sick, because that's what they are manifesting.
It's true. I mean, they say we are what we eat. That's true. We are what we speak.
Yes.
It sort of rhymes too. They go together. So it's important to notice this and just recognize that an open throat center is under incredible pressure to express outside of its correct timing. And again, what's the correct timing? The strategy and authority tell being what is the correct timing. Period. So if I had an open throat as a generator, the other two. So if you're a manifestor, you're guaranteed to have a defined throat. That's so really it's just it's generators, projectors, and reflectors that are left. Reflectors have a very specific strategy. It's totally different. So I'm going to deal mainly with generators and projectors. If you have an open throat center as either one of these two types, wait. Don't be the first to talk. And I'm not saying you have to sit there like it's a game of poker, with your straight being all rude and trying to be intimidating. That's not it. You're just casual about it. Just casually put yourself at ease. And the experiment for an open throat to see what I'm talking about is to try to put yourself at ease and don't be the first to speak all the time or hardly ever. And watch how hard it is for you. Watch how difficult, how much your body remember when we were little? I remember when I was little, we had Mexican jumping beans. My grandfather got these things would jump. They just pop all over the place. I don't know what the heck made them do it. I never figured that out. Anyway, that's what the open throat feels like. It's just hopping all over the place. It wants to, speak, jump, say.
Wants to get it out.
Wants to get it out.
I got something to say.
And what it has to say first when it's doing that is I have to say the pressure that's there. That's what I would like to say. Now I'm going to put words to that, and I'm going to ignore the fact that it is a pressure that feels like it's a not self pressure. But I'm still want to do it because I have this thing, and the open throat wants to attract attention. That's the not self theme of the question to ask yourself. Am I still trying to attract attention? Am I attracting the right attention? Do I feel like I'm compelled to attract more attention here, or even less? Do I feel so insecure that I just won't speak because this open throat has plagued me so long, I'm self-conscious about it? So wait. And when you see how difficult it is to just wait and not care that you're waiting, when you see that you're like a linebacker on the front line waiting for the quarterback to finally snap the count, you're tense, right? You're ready to start blocking people and do your thing. And you'll find you're waiting in that format. I'm holding it back. It's like holding back a dog, a big mastiff that you just wants to pull you around everywhere. That open throat wants to pull you around like a big dog does that, is at the end of a long leash, and it never slows down, and it walks you and you don't walk it. That's how to look at the throat. Yeah.
Yes, that's perfect way to put it.
Yeah, it just came out. So you'll have problems with that. Wait. And in your waiting, recognize how difficult it is often. Maybe not always, but often. I will make this statement. It's never, you are not at ease with your open throat unless you've been in your experiment for quite a while. Whoever has an open throat, you're just not at ease with it. So it will not be never. And if it is, I would like to know, because that will be a very rare circumstance.
Didn't you say one time that most singers or opera singers would have an open throat too?
Mm-hmm. Think of all the attention that attracts.
Yes, it does.
Look at me. That's what the open throat says. I want you to look at me.
Yes.
Right. And then think of how embarrassing that can feel later to the open throat person as they reflect on their day or their moment or that time when they were doing that. And suddenly they feel stupid, and they shouldn't. It's just a not self theme that they need to start watching. If the people in your life are right for you, you won't feel stupid. You'll feel caught like a nice safety net is what you're going to feel like.
Yes.
And that's how it's
I like how you say that.
Well, that's how it's supposed to be, is the thing. So just watch how hard it is. Let that be part of the experiment. Watch the difficulty of waiting till someone else starts speaking. If you're a generator, you'll have tons of stuff in response. Blah, 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 blah. And then the throat can do what it's supposed to do. The open throat center, it becomes wise, and it gains this wisdom on all these different voices it can articulate because it's open to all of the various expressions of the throat center. This is definitely going to be a two-parter. So watch for that and understand that the reason many singers have an open throat, let's see, what's a percentage of the population that has an open throat? 72% have it defined, 28% have it open. So hardly anybody has it open.
Right. And you said all manifestors have it defined?
It's a requirement because there's a motor connected to the throat. You can't be a manifestor without that. So,
okay.
Or else you're not a manifestor. So that's just the thing. All the voices get to come out when you have an open throat. And that's why if you take 100 singers, it won't just be 28 of them that have an open throat. Or 25 to 28 of them. It'll be a disproportionate number. It'll probably be more like 35 or 40.
Right.
Disproportionate to what the averages say as it relates to the humans that have it. And it's because it's so attractive. Singing is such an attractive thing to an open throat. Doesn't mean defined throats don't sing. Everyone sings. Singing is one of our big fat communication method we have. It's an amazing thing we do. We whistle, we sing, we hum. You and I were both doing it before we went on. Just la 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 la, and we just do it all the time.
I do. Yes.
Yes. So that's the open throat. Now you can have all the same thyroid problems if you have a defined throat. If you have a defined throat, the thyroid issues and that various systemic things that come from that thyroid, parathyroid, this sort of system that again speaks to everything, will start to show up when you're still acting outside of your nature. So a defined throat can run into the same problems by overstressing its throat. It's got a direct connect, so it's going to always be working, Now, if you constantly are working it and it's outside of your nature, you're not following your strategy and authority, you'll run into the same problem. You'll still talk too much. You'll still lose track of the timing of when to express and articulate and do and manifest and what have you. Because me as a generator, if I'm not waiting to respond and I'm just trying to bully my point out there, I'm out of my timing. I can count on an argument because now I have a defined throat. People can't ignore that. It's a defined throat center. So suddenly it shows up with all this power to articulate, and now people push back. I was in the wrong timing. So open throat, you don't necessarily get as much pushback because you're not putting that energy into them. You're pouring that not self energy out of you. But if it's a defined throat, your aura is taking that definition into the other. They probably have a defined throat too. So it becomes Clash of the Titans. You know,
Yeah, right. I was just going to say that.
when people go out of their nature. So you have the same issues either way. A well-balanced, defined throat center will have the voice that defines it, is the thing. And they'll stick to that. And they'll stop letting their mind pick other voices for it that it thinks it should have in order to politically get along in whatever the situation is in which they're expressing themselves. There's love language, political language, talk between friends, workplace language, right? All of it.
Yes.
With your kids.
Depending on how you want to articulate. And some people can, I know myself will adjust to whatever the situation is or the scenario.
Sometimes, Jennifer, I notice that you withhold your manifester and you just stop and don't say anything. It's at moments like that that I recognize that generally you're investigating and you're waiting for the right timing. However, so now that throat will start to go wrong if your reasoned basically strategy and authority allow you to wait for the right timing. You're just waiting for that right timing. Now, if you wait too long, now you're putting pressure on your throat that's not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be released. You're a manifester. You're supposed to simply do and articulate and express. And it doesn't mean you don't wait for the right timing. If you're constantly not waiting for the right timing as a manifester, what happens? Resistance. But
I'm working on learning how to inform.
Right. It's an important aspect. Informing, asking permission, and informing, politeness, and forms of asking permission, sort of rolling it all up into one and calling that informing. Because you're still going to do it. Mostly you're still going to do it.
Right.
Right. Unless you realize that the impact is not the right impact and it won't bring you peace, then you'll be practical and you won't do that. But ultimately, you can't stop a manifester from expressing. They've got a defined throat, and that's their job. But again, if you're outside of the right time, then you start using voices that aren't yours. I always used to say, I believe and I think, and I still do it to this day. But I recognize that sometimes that's not always my voice. And when we get into the names of these things, you'll start to see. So let's pull up the graphic and look at this throat center. It's busy. Oh God, I love this. This is yours, right?
Well, yeah, it's I put it in the chat so Savannah can probably post it later.
Oh,
People want
nice.
a copy of it.
Manifestation center, self-expression, communication. And it is expression and self-expression. So here we have all the gates of the throat center. Look, there's 11 of them. It's the busiest center in the body graph. Did you load the other slide? The one that gave the names of the voices.
Yeah, well, they were the same. The I know, the I think, the I experiment.
Oh, that's what they are here. Okay.
The only difference is it doesn't say or
The
not.
name. Well, the other slide had the names of the gates as well. I think people might be interested in that. I don't know if it's up. If it's not up, I'll just label them. I'll just say it out loud, Jen.
No, it just had the gate 23, I know or not. Gate 62.
It doesn't say the name of the gate? Oh, God. Okay, so guys, I overlooked that. That's sort of a judgment error on my part. Sorry about that. So let's just start at gate 20, and we'll go around the horn. So gate 20 in the body graph, It just says I am.
Mm-hmm.
And what this gate is pointing down to is it's pointing into integration. It's pointing at 3 other gates. So we always have to consider the gate that it's pointing at, its harmonic partner on the other side. And it's I am now. I am now. I am my power. I am myself with my power right now. I know I am now. It's just about now. It wants to everything now. If you have this defined in your body graph, it's best you spit out what your throat has in the now. If the timing isn't right for that, this is a nuance that you need to get control of for yourself. You can tell because this gate is a manifesting gate. It connects directly to a motor. So if it's connected directly to a motor, it is a manifesting gate. It wants to manifest. And so that means right now, I do right now, and I am right now. And it's our most existential gate in the body graph, in a sense, because it is only I am now. As part of the integration circuitry, what does that mean? That means that it survives now. It is the ability to deliver all the power of the sacral, the awareness of the spleen, and the love of the self into its survival right now. I love myself. This lion's coming after me. My power says, stick a spear in it. Hard. Quickly, right? Right now. And you see it in me, Jen. Someone will be talking, and you hear, but I have to wait for this timing, and sometimes it's not always the right timing. I have to keep recognizing that over and over again because it's like a hiccup response inside of me. You know, my poor mother. That's all I can say. My poor mom. I love you, Mom. So that's gate 20, and it says I am, and I am now, and sometimes it's or not is the thing. So if you have an open throat, or if you have a defined throat with no gate 20, and you keep trying to be I am right now, you'll start to see that runs into resistance. I am right now is intense. Gate 20, the gate of, where are you? 20. Contemplation, the gate of the now. This gate has, the contemplation is because you are constantly contemplating. If you're sitting there in this contemplative state, every sound you have an immediate now interpretation of. And that's what this is doing. It's interpreting right now and causing it to be in that same split second, the same right now that you just interpreted. It happens in a flash. Again, it's as fast as, electricity, essentially. And it's recognition and awareness in which transforms understanding into right action. It's where awareness becomes deed in the now. You said what? I'll say this back.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of examples of that or something you want to say?
No, what I was going to ask earlier is this is what makes you the manifesting generator, correct?
Absolutely.
Yep.
I
can see you express this channel.
Yeah, it's
because yours is all activated in all the gates, isn't it?
Yep.
Like the whole channel is.
I've got 10 and 34 in my body graph,
right.
So that makes 4 channels that all have something to do with the throat. That makes what is that? 1, 2, 1, 2. That makes 3 channels that all have something to do with the throat. So 3 channels are talking through that throat center, essentially. One of them technically isn't, but it still is because it's all connected. So it brings our convictions, it brings our power, it brings our love of ourself, and it brings our concern for our own safety in the now, right to bear, always in the now. Again, as I pointed out all along, this stuff happens when you're in your correct nature. It's happening at the speed of chemical electricity. So as fast as a battery turns on a flashlight is as fast as this stuff basically takes place.
Pretty fast. That's
pretty fast. So it's not technically instantaneous. There is a chemical process, but it's instantaneous to our awareness. We can't measure that fast, right? What we can measure is how slow the mind is to get behind it by comparison. So the mind comes in and it wants to go now, and that mind is not as fast as a battery turning on a flashlight. That mind takes a split second. It takes a whole half of a second or a third of a second or a whole second to get going. Doesn't seem like a lot of time, but it's 1,000 times slower than is the chemical reaction that got us there in the first place. The chemistry and the body's intelligence that happens.
That's something I've never really gauged in my internal reflection of my internal world, was the time of how fast the energy moved. Now you got me intrigued.
Oh, this is fun, Jen. I hope we talk about it and have some discussions and laugh at some silly stuff. That'll be great. I love laughter. Laughter happens in the now.
Yes, laughter happens in the now.
When was the last time you heard something that made you laugh and you didn't laugh immediately? When? And not yet even had to think. It just immediately lights up your chemistry.
Yep, it does happen immediately.
Right.
Unless you don't get it at first, but then afterwards.
As soon as you get it, you're laughing.
Yes.
I watched my Contract Killers course. I'm watching it with Brandon. I forgot his last name. Brandon J. Whatever. I'll remember it in a minute. And he says some of the funniest things. And I just bust out laughing all by myself here in my house, watching the Contract Killer course, learning how to become, free and state national. And that's, it's a thing. That laughter happens right away. Lots of things happen right away that way. Is the thing.
I laugh at my own thoughts.
Me too. No, it's that's us, Jen. I do too.
I am my greatest amusement.
Me too, and it's wonderful. So that's what Gate 20 is doing. It's bringing us into the now. If you have a Gate 20, it's always I am now.
And you're totally I am now.
Right. That's living out my nature, the timing of which still has to be paid attention to. I still have to pay attention to the timing. When I've been now a little too much with somebody, I have to recognize, stop, Dan. Wait. You're going to have to wait. Let them talk. It's not that important. Yes, you're not. You already know that you're now. So it's not that important. You'll be now 2 minutes from now. Let the person speak. Right? You'll be now an hour from now. Tomorrow when you wake up, you got that part down. Let the other person speak.
I see this expressed with you, especially when it's like something new. You did that at the very beginning of our show. I couldn't get through the intro because you were so in the now that everything was on the tip of your tongue that you had to get it out. One of the episodes that comes to mind was the Klaus Schwab one that we did. Schwab.
Yep.
You were like, not like, you were ready. It was right there. You wanted to get it out.
I remember that.
Now.
I remember that plenty of things. And it's so for me, in practical terms, if I'm not waiting for the right timing, it's hard to do simple things like go out on a date. Just pick something practical. It's hard. From the younger I was, the harder that was in certain ways to communicate, because here I am overpowering the other person with my right now. And I didn't recognize the timing of that. Now, if they thought that was cute or sexy or something, boy, were they in for a surprise a few months later when they realized it's not. It's a pain. It's painful. So that's a thing. So you can start to recognize stuff like that. Any other questions about Gate 20 before we move to 16?
No, let's go to 16.
So one more thing about 20. I'm sorry, Jen. It's in the end. I forgot to name the circuitry. This is in the individual circuitry. It has everything to do with intuition. So intuition is an immediate striking thing, and that intuition gets brought into the now. We need that intuition in the now. A mother's intuition makes her run upstairs and realize, I didn't hear my kid crying, but there it is. I'm glad I ran upstairs. So this is like part of the penetrating intuition, and it's in a pulse. Remember, all the individual definition is in a pulse. Therefore, if that pulse keeps showing up, what to do? That pulse is creation. That's why it's the gate of the now. Stuff gets created now. God said, let there be light. He didn't say, let there be light.
There was light.
Yeah. In time, in about 15 minutes, the light will grayscale in. It'll start to show up slowly but surely. No, he said, let there be light. There was darkness. Boom, there's light. That's creation. So keep those two things in mind about Gate 20.
How fast was the Big Bang?
Gate 20 fast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the example of, God said there would be light, and then there was light.
and it exploded light right into Shazam. There she blows. So gate 16. So this is in the collective circuitry, collective logical understanding circuitry. It's all about the intuition that's running through here is taste, your taste of something, your sense of that it's, good or not so good, medium or not so medium, your ability to identify with something because you think it's great. I play the piano and I identified with that, so I thought it was great. Since it's in the logical part of the collective circuitry, it needs to share, and what it needs to share is its enthusiasm. This is the gate of enthusiasm. It becomes skills because gate 16 is willing to repeat ad nauseum, repeat. When it becomes enthusiastic, and we need that. The world needs all these things, no exceptions. You pull one away and we turn into one of those Jumanji towers that falls over. So that enthusiasm it's the enthusiasm for the thing that is being identified with, and it converts the chemistry of your intuition in that moment, this taste of the thing, this sort of ability for you to identify with something you like. Taste just means you like it. The things
Right.
yeah, that's all. And it takes all that joy that happens down below, starting at the root, that moves up to this gate through that stream of awareness, and it's turning joy into enthusiastic skills. And the name says, I experiment or not. And it knows it can experiment. I know I can experiment with this or not. I know I can try that or not. I know I can experiment with some of this and then stop. I know I don't feel like experimenting with that. And it's all about experimentation. It can be trial and error, but mostly it's just experimenting with various things that it wishes to be identified with, to see if its strategy and authority will have it doing what it does. Repeat the thing you're identified with, because tomorrow the rules could change. You have to prove it still works. This mathematics is filled with this. Students in mathematics today, if they're doing real math and not woke math, what's woke math? 1 + 1 = 3. Sometimes if you identify with 3. So identify.
Yeah, I know. But even with math, like I was really good with math, but I struggled in math because every teacher taught a different way, and I would get the answer right, but I would get it wrong because I didn't do it the way that the teacher told me. So that can go into woke math. Even when my school got into elementary, they changed the way that 1 + 1 = 2. It was some completely different format that they needed to show their work doing it.
It didn't take them long, Jen, to corrupt our schools and figure out the most efficient ways to wreck our kids. You and I were experimental versions.
Absolutely.
Yep. While they were working on that, we live in a.
That's why I spent most of my time in the principal's office.
Yeah, absolutely. So gate 16, enthusiasm. It's this ability to identify with, and I'll read what Ross said. It's I experiment or not. I experiment with what I identify with, or not, or I don't. To skillfully master something. That's what it's all about. It's trying to skillfully master something. That is logical. It's part of it leads to understanding. I didn't understand design. I repeated, and finally then I understood design. I had to become identified with that, and enthusiasm had to pour through my body for my sacral to say, okay, here's your energy, kid.
Right.
Okay, sustain, day and night, sustain, so that's how that works. If you're
just like you're doing now with the
nationals courses. Yep. Day and night, something else. I'm dreaming about it. Goes through my beautiful confusion factory. Out come the concepts. Then suddenly I realize how easy it's going to be ultimately. Blah, blah, blah. That's all through this process. You can't tell me, and I can't tell you it's going to be easy when you and I don't know anything yet. We're just going to fear the crap out of that, right? Oh my God, they're going to come. What if I don't? We think, and then the more you get into it, the more you recognize. Just like me with learning Zoom, which I've successfully not done so far. I've not identified with it yet. I'm not. It's the enthusiasm hasn't shown up. And so therefore I suck at it. And so don't beat yourself up when you suck at something because you weren't enthusiastic towards it. Your voice didn't say, I identify with this. It said, I don't. It gave the or not. If you have this gate in your body graph, recognize the or not. There's an or not to every single voice. And it's I am enthusiastic or not. Because if you're enthusiastic, you're gonna do the thing you're identifying with your enthusiasm. You're not enthusiastic about nothing. Unless nothing is a thing you're studying. If you're studying nothing, then you're enthusiastic about technically nothing. I don't know what that looks like, but if that's what you're enthusiastic about, you'll tell me. Because in your experimenting, you have a voice that says, this is what I experimented with. This is what I'm identified with. Let me enthusiastically tell you. If you find yourself enthusiastically telling people stuff, count yourself lucky. That's how you're made. You're made with an enthusiastic sounding voice. Let it ring. And if you become unenthusiastic in a moment about it, recognize the timing wasn't there. The other person wasn't listening. This is no longer a manifested channel. This is now a projected channel. It needs to be invited. It needs to be recognized. Most of the channels in the body graph need to be recognized. 3 channels are manifesting channels. 4 of them technically. One sort of serves a dual purpose. 12 channels there's 36 channels. 4 of them are manifesting channels. Another 12 of them, hang on a second, 9 to 11 of them are generated channels. So they just generate, they sustain. So that leaves all the rest. Way more than half of them are projected channels.
Projected channels.
And they're called projected so that we can apply the word that goes with projector. They need to be recognized. If my enthusiasm isn't recognized, I can't make my mortgage loan work when I'm working at my day job. I can't make someone understand human design. I can't turn them on to what I found out about, corruption in our government and the jabs and all that stuff. I can't anything. I'm identified with it, but the timing is not right for them. We recognize that as they're not open. Right? They're not open. They're asleep. They're this, whatever words we give to it, or that they would give to us if they were enthusiastic and we weren't listening. It doesn't matter what the word is. It doesn't matter open or not. The timing isn't right. That's the thing to notice. Yeah, of course they're not open. Okay. Hey, you took that job and maybe you shouldn't have. They're not open to that. Some people, they won't be open. So no matter how enthusiastically skillful you are at being able to pour all that data out because you experimented and identified and you figured it out and it's logical. It's in the logical understanding circuitry, which is there to be shared. And you're trying to share that. If the timing isn't right, you're going to make yourself sick. So in an open throat, you're going to be trying to attract attention. You're going to make yourself sick. In a defined throat, you're going to force it down their throat some. And you're going to make yourself sick. Either way, it's no good. It's not up to you to make the other listen. It's up to them to listen to your enthusiasm.
Right. Yeah.
So if you're with the right people, then it's okay. If you're not with the right people, you'll find out quickly. If you have this gate, especially if it's in a defined throat, either way, actually, let your enthusiasm pour out of you and let that be a guide of who's right for you. The people that are right for you, allow it. And then you'll see the micro timing within all of that. You still don't get to do it all the time. It's just they'll be correct for you. They'll allow it is the thing. And the heading under gate 16 says, enthusiasm, the gate of skills, the great art. Now remember, this is a logical understanding process of bringing logical awareness to something. The great art of enriching by this harmonic channeling of energy. And the harmonic channeling is the gate 58, which is at the bottom of the stream, the harmonic channeling of the joy.
Of the joy.
That's what's at the bottom that's what's empowering the stream. Is that gate 58 from the root center. It goes all the way up through the spleen. The spleen adds its awareness of what to be joyful for, what makes sense. The spleen gives us the taste. The joy just gives us the fuel for it. It's like, I want the joy. And the spleen says, here's your joy. And then this gate 16 says, you can speak it. You've identified with it. Make it happen. 1, 2, 3, go. All these things are now, by the way. Every throat gate is right now. Gate 20 makes sure of that. So if you find yourself sharing your enthusiasm with stuff you're identified with and the other is permanently not listening to you, you're not with the right other. Don't be mad at them. It's not their fault. It's just they're not right for you. You can say, oh my God, they're not awake. Oh my God, they're this. Oh my, they can be all of those things, but it's still not their fault. There they are. I mean, Jennifer, I'm a big fan of when somebody does the thing, that's what they're doing. They're technically not at fault for it in a esoteric, in a cosmic kind of way, because there they are doing it. That's what I'm getting at. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Well, believe it. They did it. See, just, look, they just did that. So you can believe it now. They shouldn't have done that. Probably they shouldn't have done that, but they did it. So there you are. Start to recognize that the people that are right for you in your gate 16 allow you to be enthusiastic. And then you get the grace and the timing of when to be enthusiastic. Because you dang well know you can be enthusiastic or not. You can get skills or not. You can repeat and identify with the process or not. You can express the joy of your enthusiasm through the depth and all the stuff that comes out of it. Gate 16 would like to correct stuff. Gate 16 would love to correct the things that Gate 18 in the spleen says. Should we jump around or just go right in order here?
No, I'd go in order so we don't lose track on where we're at.
Well, we did that once, didn't we? Just jumped around, totally lost track.
I know, I'll have to start writing them down.
Yeah, I think it was the root center. So gate 62. Language came out of this gate.
Let's see.
Very much it did. Not all of it, but most of it. It's the gate of details. It says it's taking gate 17, the harmonic gate right above it in the ajna center, that has just gone through a formulation process, came from a bunch of pressure. Gate 63 gave it doubt. It came down to gate 4 to come up with a formula inside the ajna. The ajna is thinking up its formula, but the formula still isn't actually the opinion. It's just the conglomeration of possibilities. And suddenly gate 17 says, in its little inner eye way of seeing, it gets people to get the picture of its opinion of the thing that just happened. And then gate 62 metamorphosizes that process into details, the details of speech, the details of articulation. If you don't have a gate 62,
whoever came up with the English language, I bet you had that whole channel.
Oh God, yeah. And so this channel, if you have the whole channel, I'm going to get to gate 62 so I can read the heading across the top. And 62, it's the preponderance of the small. So there's only 2 gates in the body graph that talk about taming or pondering the small. It's gate 9, which is also part of the logic understanding circuitry, and it's gate 61. The sacral tames the small. It just tames it through sheer sustained energy, and gate 62 preponders it and collects details. It's part of the Maya, cross of the Maya. It's always collecting the details. And I would like you to notice gate 16 and gate 62 are in the same logical understanding collective circuitry. So gate 62 would like joy as well. It likes the joy of its details. Everything in gate
does it find joy in details?
Absolutely. And the more details, the better. And so our technical manuals come out of this because we need that logical opinion that gets to turn all those details into something that is now articulated. And because it's an opinion, because it's coming out of the ajna, because the ajna has no power to be our inner authority, it has no power to actually make the decisions. All it can do is think. And so the voice of this is I think or not. I think this or not. I think that or not. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's I think or not. It's my opinion that I think maybe it might be like this. If you have gate 62, you have a voice that says I think. That's a common way for you to speak. Get used to it. It's good.
Yeah, I don't think we said that at the very beginning, guys. Most of these gates or channels that you have, pay attention because you probably use this terminology of I think, I am, I experiment, maybe not experiment, but I'm enthusiastic. I
Yeah.
know I use I believe a lot.
And you have that channel.
I have that channel.
You have that whole channel, and you're always using I believe. And exactly right. I have none of the gates across the top of this throat center, so I'm open to all of them. My sudden knowing can be I think, I believe, I know. I'm open to all. I don't know which one it's going to be. I don't have any of these gates.
I believe I know.
I think I believe I know.
You made a whole sentence out of all that.
That's funny as crap, Dan. That's hilarious.
There's that. I am in the now of laughing.
Well, so, and again, everything's powered up in no small way by the joy coming out of the root center. So the joy of the details, it's trying to empower our way. And gate 62 is ponderance of the small, the gate of details. Caution, patience, and detail produce excellence out of limitation. What was the limitation? You didn't think before. I didn't know before. The thoughts weren't there. I had no formula. The limitation is I don't necessarily have a lot of energy and I still have to express it. The limitation is there's a lot of details. So a good, concise answer I don't have yet. That's my limitation. But I got gate 62. It starts coming up with it. Suddenly you start saying, well, I think it's like this. Sooner or later, after you experiment with it enthusiastically, you come to know it's like this. That's what the experimentation and the enthusiasm does. I'm enthusiastic or not about the details. I think I'm enthusiastic about that. Next day, hey, I kept going at it. I went down a rabbit hole. I'm enthusiastic about that. It's no longer, I think I'm enthusiastic about that.
I am enthusiastic.
I am enthusiastic about that. And if you have gate 20, I am enthusiastic about that right now. So I think or not. I think it's this way. I think it's that way. And yes, what Jennifer said before, these actual words come out of your mouth over and over again. These are voices. Which voices do you have? That's what I ask everyone. What voice do you have? You've got one of them, or it's very rare to have none. A completely open, naked throat center is going to be the
Have
rare.
you ever come across somebody who's had a completely...
I think I've seen it once. I've seen it once. I've got a distinct memory, but I don't remember who. Bill Clinton had an open throat, but he had 8 or 9 of the 11 possible activations.
Hillary had a defined throat.
Yep. And
Went blurry.
Yep, you went blurry. Oh, there you are. So this ponderance, this caution, this patience, it's because you're pouring together details. It's a metamorphic process. If you spill out the details too quickly and it's not in the right timing, you're going to get something terribly wrong. No, the car will work like this. No, it didn't work like that. Now we're stuck. Well, I thought it would work like that. Yeah, caution. Well, I thought we could do it this. Patience. I think it's going to be a good idea if we, are you sure? Let's look at the timing. Because your gate 62 is so eager in the now to say, I think. I think is not I know. I think is not for sure. That's all.
Right.
We get to closer to for sure through the logical process of enthusiastically repeating and experimenting with it. Because at some point in time, Einstein breaks down, right? We knew Einstein started with, I think, he has this gate and he has the whole channel. You have channel curiosity. And so,
does he?
Yep. And so he would be, he thought, and then he had to keep experimenting. You only need one gate in this whole stream of awareness and or in that whole logical collective voice to know that you want to share the details after you've formulated them. You only need one gate. And then you'll have aspects of everything in it. It's your key in. It's just your key in. You don't need to have all the gates in the collective understanding circuitry to have aspects of all of it working through you if you have just one activation. That's how it is in all the streams. It's a toehold. It gets you in the door. So now there are details. I don't have this gate of details. but I'm strategic, but I'm enthusiastically repeating over and over again, and sooner or later the details will show up off the tip of my tongue in the now. That's how my voice will work. But if I start saying, well, the details are all, I get lost if I try and have the details before I'm ready. If you have a gate 62, you're collecting details, and boy, are they in there. And they are showing up, and you're metamorphosizing thoughts that go through this logical opinion-making process, and they move into details, and they move into the expression of the details. So you are detailed. Let yourself be detailed. Gate 62, the gate of details, I think or not, communicating the details and the facts. Caution, patience, endurance creates great results out of what was a limitation, because the limitation was while the details were pouring in order to be assembled, you didn't know, you didn't think, you just wanted to. You know, I don't know. So all these gates in the throat need to get used to saying, I don't know, maybe I can't, let me think about that, let me work on that. Let me see if am I identified enough to enthusiastically repeat this in the now such that I can come up with the details. I guess each gate I'll go to, I'll keep going back to 20 and keynote the whole thing. So we can see all this, because if I keynote everything right around this whole circle, we're going to realize, oh my God, these are the voices of humanity. I have this. So if you've got gate 62, that's your voice. You've got that as a voice. It wants to be logical. It's in a collective circuitry, so it needs to be shared, right? It's there to share. It might not be the smartest thing, yet you're still trying to share. If the timing isn't right, you'll get a sore throat. If you have an open throat in a gate 62 and the timing isn't right, you'll get a sore throat. You'll wear yourself down. You won't be satisfied. You'll start feeling bitter. If it's a defined throat, you'll start feeling angry and disappointed. All the not self themes. So that's gate 62. Can we think of anything else to say about gate 62?
I cannot at the moment.
Okay. So gate 23. This is a lot of work going through this throat center, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe this will be the last one, and then we can wrap up because we did talk about the difference between the open and the defined center, and then next week we can wrap up the rest of the gates. We should have, we'll have plenty of time to get through those.
Yep. So gate 23. This gate is the bane of my existence. It's the one gate I don't have that bridges my split. It's not the bane of my existence anymore. It used to be. Gate 23 it says, I know. That's its voice. I know. Because it's in the back, again, back to the individual circuitry, having everything to do with our intuition and our individual knowing. It's on the top of the throat center, so it's metamorphic. It's called splitting apart, the gate of assimilation. What it's splitting apart is this acoustic noise inside your head that started up top in gate 61 and came all the way down. Doesn't matter that you don't have these gates. This is the process. It comes all the way down, and then it finally gets to the harmonic gate on the other side, gate 43. Both you and I have it in our body graph twice. Mm-hmm. That is the gate of insight, and it's dying to pour out its mental insight that it just came up with, this incredible breakthrough that it has. And because it's individual, they are incredible breakthroughs because they're the first and only time they've ever appeared in the universe, because they showed up in a pulse. They showed up uniquely, individually in a pulse, and it wants to empower everyone else. Remember the keynote of individual definition, empowerment.
Right.
Like the collector says, let me share my bad idea with you or my great idea with you, but individuality doesn't say that. It just says, I would like to empower you with this. And so it's a similar result, but sharing is impersonal. Empowerment's personal. Sharing can be with like all the people. Empowerment is you want to empower that person with what you know. And it's called splitting apart and assimilation because metamorphically it takes the noise inside the head, the acoustic phenomena that is this insight, and it assimilates it into language. It's, thank you very much. All these gates across the top of the throat center have quite a job to do. And these are genetic constructs in us. We didn't mentally figure out how to speak. It was always there. We uncovered it. Just like the great carving person uncovers the statue from the block of stone.
Yes.
That statue sitting in that block of stone, baby, it's there. It's in fact, every statue is in that block of stone.
And the artist sees it beforehand.
And they see it, and it starts to bring itself forward. And that's what gate 23 does. But it sees it so quickly because it's individual. It's in a pulse. And gate 23's language is I know or not. I know or I don't know. And so if you have a gate 23, it's pretty easy to say I don't know because you're accustomed to it. So, I mean, it should be. Splitting apart, assimilation. It's called amorality, having nothing to do with morality, because this has to do with mental knowing.
Right.
Not about morality or immorality as it relates to, bad things that the W Economic Forum does, for instance. Those amoral, people. This amorality is we can't pay attention to anything to do with morality. We're busy assimilating this amazing new insight. Let's assimilate it, and then we'll know what we know. Okay? So it's not a process of that. It's awareness and understanding, which leads to the acceptance of diversity. And what's the diversity? The freakiness of the individual, the uniqueness of the individual. It leads to greater awareness of others of what can be known. So if you have a gate 23 in your throat center and it's defined, if you have it activated, stop worrying that you say, I know.
I wonder who, maybe my mom always said I was somebody that I know. And I was big one that always said I know. So I guess something was.
Well, we have the other side of that, Jen.
Yeah.
It knows too.
That's right. Okay.
It takes two to be the actual knower. If you have
yes.
the whole channel, it's called the channel of structuring, and it's structuring incredible noise into a knowing designed for efficiency. That knowing is designed to create a new efficiency, by the way. Let me empower you with my new knowing that makes it more efficient. It's here.
It would drive my mom crazy. She was, because I say, I know.
It's a burning desire when you have this gate or this channel to be the knower that knows in the moment. And so if you take a classroom full of, second graders and ask them second grade appropriate questions, the first people to put their hands up will inevitably demonstrate most of the channel of structuring children. Most of them, not all of them. It won't always be that way because they could have their own insecurities or whatever. Who knows what's going on? But I know. Oh, I know. Hey, if you don't, I know. Hey, listen, you better do that. I know. Right? Two partners talking to, honey, you have to, I know. Let that person say, I know, and recognize they don't know if they know for sure. That's just their voice. And maybe they do know. We don't know. We'll find out. Allow finding out instead of needing to correct them and beat them down. And if you have a 23 child, stop beating them down for I know. Educate them. Well, honey, okay, that sounds good. What do you think you know? That's okay too. Keep that beautiful voice of yours alive. I love you for it. It's perfect. And that child will start to learn timing at an early age simply because you gave it the space to do so.
Yeah.
That's the thing for this. So when I keynote this all together, it's my power in the now is enthusiastic with all the details. And let me tell you, I sure do know. Let me empower you with my knowing that I'm about to share all my details, enthusiasm with. That's powerful in the now. That's 21, 16, 62, 23.
Great job. We have a quick question from Elizabeth. Wondering where these particular numbers came from. Are they different for everyone, or is this standard? Elizabeth, are you talking about the gate numbers?
I know what she's talking about.
Okay.
Yep. She's talking about either or of two things, which will address her question. So these gate numbers stay fixed, Elizabeth. They're fixed, meaning this throat center will show up this way every single time. What changes is what a person's differentiation has when you're born. You may be imprinted with one or none of these gates. So it changes person to person, but the construct stays the same. So we all come into a body graph. The numbers all stay in the same place. We're different. We all have different activations within a construct that stays the same, that is standardized. Does that answer your question, hon?
She hadn't commented yet, but when she does, I'll let you know. Thank
Jennifer, before we get off, can you please go to the wheel?
you. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's important because that way we won't have to do this next time.
Okay.
I would like to point out something here. There are no throat gates in any of the other quarters. The throat gates aren't there for duality, making relationships. They're not there for our initiation, which is all about mind and initiating the fire that starts us up. And it's not about the death process and mutation that brings things to a close.
Right.
Mutative, they're all in civilization. The building.
How fascinating.
Yes, every throat gate is in the building process. The building and the making of the civilization that then allows people to be in relationships and start and live and die inside the civilization. The throat center's all there.
Well, that would make sense because the throat is part of the manifestation process.
Yeah.
You're not going to manifest in these phases.
What are some of humanity's biggest manifestations? Pyramids, giant cities, huge buildings, trips to the moon, civilization, viaducts, rivers, canals. Oh, we are builders, and we manifested and articulated the plans and all the details enthusiastically in the now for all of that through the quarter of civilization. So we won't need the wheel next time.
Awesome.
So
Thank you for pointing that out. That is pretty fascinating. And because it's in there, I love that how they do the signs here. Yep. Gemini. I know my Gemini friends, they are talkers.
Yes. And Jennifer, someday you know more about astrology than I do. I would love for you to ask me questions about gates one day when we're not even online and see what makes this Cancer, what makes this Gemini, what makes this Sagittarius, or what have you. That would be an interesting thing to do at some point.
Yes, we will definitely. I'd like to do that. So we'll do that off camera.
This is weighty material, guys. Yeah, it's weighty, and so you're just going to have to stay with us through all of this because we got to get through all the gates we started. So.
Absolutely. But we should be able to wrap up the rest of the throat center next week.
Yep.
And then we would have completed the whole set of gates. So we can put those all in a folder and put them up on our YouTube channel.
We can bundle them up and put them on our YouTube channel. At some point, we should probably turn them into a course and take them back down and people can access them privately to help support the YouTube channel and so forth. We might need to do that. I don't know, but figured out.
Yeah, well, yeah, we can definitely. We're getting to that point. So,
all righty. I love you, Jennifer. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Love you too, Dan. Thank you for everybody who tuned in today and joined us. As always, please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. And if you have any questions, please make sure to drop it down in the comments, or you can find us at the Human Design Advantage on Instagram. I think that's more active than any of the other social medias. YouTube and Instagram are the best places to locate us. And if you haven't already booked your session with Dan, or you don't know what your human design is and you're ready to get started, check the links down below. And what are you waiting for? You should go ahead and get that done.
Book your session. The link is right on our humandesignadvantage.com website. There's probably a link here that'll get you there. There's a spot to make a donation if you can't afford what the actual cost of it is. We're not going to let you go without. Don't wait.
Yeah, the important thing is that you wake up to your true nature. So you find out who you are. You find out how you interact in this earthly plane.
Yeah.
And what your kids are. If you have family, your spouses, all of that. You can dive deeper. So
find out why you think your husband's a pain in the butt, but he's really a swell guy.
Yes. Oh, and Dan definitely does couple readings, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback. So
yeah,
definitely check that out. We got a couple of comments coming in. We have some new people too today. Catherine, hello community. Happy full moon. Happy full moon
No
to
way.
everybody.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's in Leo. I'm definitely tapping into that fire
Catherine,
energy.
many thanks. Thank you.
So happy full moon, everybody. And Laura says, thanks, Danny. Your knowledge is impressive.
Hi,
Yeah,
Laura. Thank you, hon. Yep.
Catherine again says, wonderful nuggets on
Yep.
the moon. And
So sweet, Jennifer. I love people.
Elizabeth says, is so great. We'll be following up. I just ended up here, but well, accidents are always wonderful. You did not end up here on accident. You were intuitively led without you knowing. So
Yep. That's how I like to look at it. And Elizabeth, if you're still listening, Jennifer, I'm going to have to change certain things because I know the price tag of what the actual value for a reading is sometimes intimidating to people. I may have to go back to doing that 20-minute intake session with folks to see if they'll book. We'll discuss that. But Elizabeth, get on the site. Even if you private message us, we'll work out reading for you and or supplementing the information you already have. Let's do this.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, and Laura is looking to book as well. So, yes, guys, go ahead, jump on the call. Make sure you get that done and let us know if you have any questions. Don't hesitate to send us an email, humandesignadvantage@gmail.com, or drop a comment in Instagram or YouTube.
And share us out, man. Make everyone like us. We need lots of likes.
Yep. Share. So, with that said, y'all have a wonderful full moon blessings and happy Sunday and enjoy the day.
Enjoy the day, everyone. Love you. Bye.
We will see you guys on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.